Hello, my name is Muck. Today we are going to be talking about the basics of sketching in Fusion 360, along with the basics of using the viewport. This is the first video in the series. So what you see here in the 3D view is called the viewport. It acts similar to a camera. So the basic controls for it mostly involve using the mouse and the middle click, like your scroll wheel. So to zoom in and out, you scroll in and out. Self-explanatory. If you want to pan, you hold on the middle click, so you press on the middle on the scroll wheel, and then you can move right, left, up, down. Now if you want to orbit, so you want to change the rotation on the camera around a certain point, you hold shift while holding scroll wheel and dragging your mouse. So now you can orbit. If you want a more accurate view from a certain angle, you can click on the different sides of this cube. So let's click on the right. Now we look from the right, click here, but from between front and right. Click up here, that's between top and front. Or we click the corner between top, front, and left. So now let's get into sketching. So we want to click Create Sketch, which will take us into sketch mode, which is two-dimensional. But in order to go into 2D, we have to select a certain plane. So if we want it to be top, bottom, we click this. If we want it to be vertical and upright, we would click one of these. So we want to be able to view it from the top or from the bottom, so let's click the bottom plane. Now we have switched into a two-dimensional mode, so we won't be needing to do any more orbiting. We are now using all the functions in the sketch folder, which only appears once you've actually started a sketch. So let's start with a two-point rectangle. So a two-point rectangle starts a rectangle with the first click. You move the mouse to another point, and wherever you click ends the rectangle. So let's say we didn't catch those two numbers since I clicked too quickly. We can find out the dimensions of the rectangle by clicking on the lines that make up this rectangle. So this line has a length of 100 millimeters, and this line has a length of 50 millimeters. And since it's a rectangle, this is also 100, this is also 50. There's also other types of rectangles. So here, this is the center rectangle. You use the first point to decide the center point of your rectangle, and then the other describes only one corner. So we started the rectangle on the corner of the other, and let's make it 50 by 50. So this is a square. And you can confirm it is indeed a square. If you click on certain areas created by the intersections of these shapes, you can find the area of those intersection areas, which is pretty neat. There are also other funny tools, such as lines. So let's say we wanted to create a hat. So let's make a line that goes up by, say, you see, it isn't snapping to any of these points. So the thing we can do is we zoom in further, and we can get it to snap to 40. Or if we wanted something even more specific, and we didn't bother to keep zooming in, we could say we want 41. So type 41, and then that's length, and it'll show it to you as this dimension. Then let's say we want to draw a line over from this to this. So we know the length, and we also know the angle. So we can use this angle thing to great effect. So let's say we want to go perpendicular off of this slope. We can snap to that. So 90 degrees off, and let's go 40 up. So it's quite cool. And let's say we want some kind of baseline to help us construct triangles better. So we can use the line tool to make that, and then we make another line. So now the reference angle is based off of this line that we drew. So let's say the angle is 30 degrees, but so you use tab to move between two numbers. So I press tab to move and change this to 30 degrees. So once you do that, it locks down that number. The mouse can no longer influence it. Like, even if I pull it off to the side, it doesn't do anything unless I pull it below here, where it's just 30 degrees, but under the line rather than over. So let's say we wanted to go up 120 millimeters. Both are locked, I can't do anything. Click. And now this is the spline tool. This is very useful for making, like, if you wanted to make an aerofoil, or complex shapes that cannot be explained using regular lines. So this creates a curve. So with 2 points, it's a line. With 3 points, it's a curve. That's 3 points. And what if, so the tip of this should be more rounded. So we can click on these green things and drag them out like this. Pretty funny, isn't it? We can also create circles using the diameter circle tool. So we want a circle right here. So we click here, and then we drag this, we just move our mouse out to a certain specified distance. Let's make it line up specifically here, because that will look nicer. There are also things that you can do to modify a sketch. So you can use a fillet to round a corner. So I want to round So let's say I want to round a corner between these two lengths. So I select these two, holding shift while I do so I can select both, then press fillet, and it'll try to round these out. So the radius, let's make it a radius of 10, and then hit enter. We can also offset something. So if we had, say, a circle inscribed within here, we could use the offset to make something either bigger than it or smaller than it. So let's try that with a more complex shape. So let's make our weird irregular shape in here. Now we want to, instead of having to go through everything manually, make sure that it's a correct length away from every single point, we just hit offset, and then we just pull this out. So all these lines are 5 millimeters. How about like 4 millimeters? 3? Oh, that's 2. 2 millimeters away from this irregular shape. So we have an outer set of lines and an inner set of lines. And there's an area between these as well. So how can we make a big use out of this? Well, I'm going to cover it for a very brief period in this video, but we can use the Extrude Tool to get a use out of these shapes. So if we press Finish Sketch, we can click on Extrude. So this will turn our sketch into what is called a body. So a body is typically a 3D shape in Fusion 360. So you can see that the ability to calculate the intercepts for everything automatically is very useful. Instead of us having to figure out which areas of the sketch are which, the computer can do it for us. So let's say this circle was actually a gap in our design, but this is a triangle that juts out into it. So we can just select the parts that we want, What if, yeah, we select this, and then let's select the outer ring of this. Just the outer that we're gonna build. And let's say we don't want it to be a complete circle with a triangle in it, so let's select that as well. And now, since it's an extrusion, we're turning it into 2D. We have to tell it how thick are we going to make this extrusion. This like thickening of a 2D object. Like we're stretching it out. So let's say 5 millimeters. So it is now 5 millimeters tall. Okay. So there you can see we've created the shape. And a great thing about Fusion is that it shows all your stuff on a timeline. So you can go back and edit by right-clicking, go back, edit the shape. So let's say this was insufficient. Let's make this like 10. Oh wait, no, that's too big. 6. So now it intersects with this, and that might produce some problems down the line. So let's go back. So this is called a feature. So like an aspect of your design. So let's go back, edit this feature. So not too much has changed, not too much has gone wrong. We can change our design at any time that we want. So let's remove those, let's add these. So now we can completely remodel our design without having changed that much in the sketching, just by selecting different parts. Another cool feature about this being computerized is that even though we have very complex shapes, if we click on it, we can just instantly get the area. And now that you're done, you can press the save button, which is up here, or Control S, and save. And we can save it wherever we want, under whatever title we want. So let's call it Thing 1. Save. And it is now saved to the cloud because Fusion 360 is stuck to the cloud. So that's the end of the video. Bye.